I've downloaded tons of spreadsheets, I've created multiple budgets for myself, and I've even hired coaches, yet I was still living paycheck to paycheck. And that's what helped me realize that budgets aren't really the answer to financial success. It's really about the habits and systems you have in place around your money. In this video, I'll walk you through the 3-step money system that I've used to go from drowning in debt to actually getting ahead financially. When I first started coaching people with their finances, my approach was really solely focused on the numbers. I thought if we created the perfect budget for them, set up a really good debt payoff plan, and help them, implement savings, that everything else would just fall into place. We would organize their income and their expenses, map out their savings, and actually implement the retirement accounts that they were going to be using. And at first, it really felt like we were winning. They would leave the meetings really excited, having already some stuff implemented for themselves and feeling like they were going to move forward. But a few months down the road, they would end up in the same place that they were before. I recognize this for myself too, because I was actually living it. I had taken all the courses, read all the books, done all the trainings, downloaded all the spreadsheets, but the truth hit me that it wasn't an information and knowledge problem that I was having. The real challenge was the way that I was living my life, which is when I really shifted away from trying to get like the perfect plan and the perfect budget and started to move into the 3-step money system that I follow now. The great thing about this money system I'm about to show you is that the first 2 steps are really the foundations and the things that you do in the beginning, and the 3rd step is actually the only ongoing thing that you have to do, and it's really simple if you set up something similar to me. The first step in my money system is to track like a madman or a mad woman, and essentially what you want to do is figure out where all your money's going. You want to know exactly how much money you're making after taxes, and you want to know what every single penny that you're spending is going on. And this is really going to help you bring light to where your money's going. Essentially, you're trading your time for money, right? You're going to work, you're making X amount of dollars, and then you're spending that money on, who knows what. So if you start tracking every single dollar, every single day, it's really going to focus your mind and really concentrate on how you can actually get ahead financially. And this is a much better approach than actually like starting off with creating a budget and trying to stick to it, because that is more numbers focused rather than habits focused. If you make the habit tracking and focusing your mindset and your willpower on just being aware of where your dollars are going, over time, you're going to start making changes little by little that's going to help you put that money towards things that are actually important to you and really question what some of the things that you're spending your money on. And I'll give you an example for me. When I first started tracking, I tracked every single day, every single dollar, no matter what it was, a small $5 purchase or whether it was like $200 or whatever it was. And I realized that I was spending around $1,000 a month going out eating and spending time with my friends. Now, I personally value my friendships and relationships, and I want to spend time investing in those relationships. However, throwing $1,000, that got me questioning whether those purchases were worth it. And in some nights, yeah, absolutely. I still have some great memories of going to like all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue with my friends and doing soju bombs and just having a really great time. And then there's also who knows how much money that I have no idea where it went and what happened those nights or whatever, because they just weren't peak moments for me. So over time, once I started tracking this and really questioning that purchase, it really helped me decide on, not throwing away some of that money. And it also helped me decide like, what about this experience am I trying to invest in? Like I can still go out with my friends without, throwing $1,000 at just junk food and alcohol and still have a great time now. And it's easier to go into that and say, yes, let's hang out. Yes, I want to go out to eat with you, and not necessarily have to, buy a steak dinner and, buy a ton of alcohol that I probably shouldn't have been drinking anyways. So it's an easy way to get a grasp on where your money's going and start thinking about like what's important to you and how you can shift, like was the dinner the important part, like buying the steak the important part, or actually was the important part me investing in my relationships and having a good time. So for this step, I challenge you to start tracking every single penny that you're spending and make that the habit that you focus on to really get a grasp on your finances. And then I really want you to start thinking about what's important to you, which is the next step. We're going to get into that right now. But part of this step was I started to realize like, hey, I'm going to work and I'm making $20, $30 an hour. And then I'm going out to dinner later on and I'm spending $200. If I'm making $20 an hour, that's 10 hours of my life that I traded for dinner. And actually more hours of my life, if you think about it, because if I was making $20 an hour, I wasn't getting $20. I was getting like whatever, $15, $16, $17 after taxes. So I really want you to track where those dollars are going and then know your dollar per hour and what you're trading that money for, because money is the resource. You're trading your time to get the money and then you're using the money on other things. And if you start thinking of like, I'm going to buy this, new TV, it's $500. That's X amount of my hours that I am investing into my job to make that money. Now, something like a TV just because I said it, that's probably going to last a while, but that's really the purpose of this step, is to, one, become aware of where all your money is going, and two, start thinking about what's important to you when you're allocating your money, like remembering that you're trading your time to some capacity to make this money, and then what is it that you're spending this money on, and was it worth it for you? The next step is to align your values with your goals. It's really easy to just throw money away if you don't have a purpose or vision for yourself and a life that you want to build. But once you have that vision and once you know where you want to go, it's really easy to say no to the things that don't matter and really easy to say yes to the things that do matter for you. And then you can also prioritize, like the example I gave earlier with the dinner. I want to spend time going out with my friends, but now I know I don't necessarily have to throw away money just to enjoy the experience. I can show up to the experience and have a good time and maybe spend a little bit of money. So what you can do during this step is really think about, where's your life at right now, and what do you want your future to look like, and what role does finances and your money play in that? And if you have a partner, your spouse, you're married, you want to sit down with them and do this together. You want to do it on your own so that way you can have your own headspace, but you also want to do this together because now you have combined finances where each of you has your own vision, and then you also need to align on a future vision together for the bigger picture that you both play into. Now, once you've learned what your priorities are, it becomes so much easier to stick to that budget and create that budget because you have that future vision plan, and it's not just 15% for retirement. Well, what does that retirement look like, and why 15%? And does this number make sense for what I want for my future? It might also help you make some changes with the long-term commitment purchases that you're making, like buying cars, buying houses, what job you're choosing, and maybe even trying to make more money. I can definitely say for myself, I knew that for the lifestyle that I wanted to live, I would need to make more money. That was ultimately it. And I also knew that most of us have to work. All of us probably have to work to some capacity. So I decided that I was going to make as much money as possible as I could during my working hours to support the lifestyle that I ultimately wanted. And I also personally decided that I don't want to have a lot of expenses that are going to lock me into, whatever job that I have, or into a purchase that maybe might not be important to me later on, or could be done cheaper without having to make major sacrifices to my lifestyle right now. And the last step here is building your habits and automating things. So you've gone through, exactly where all your money's at. You spent some time thinking about what's important to you. And by the way, that's going to take a while. That's not just like an overnight thing. That's going to be weeks and months of you actually consciously thinking about those type of things and then making changes over time. But once you get to this part where you're relying on a long-term solution, you really want to rely on habits and like automating things. So that way you don't have to think about it. If you've gone through that whole process, by this point, the habit is, I'm about to spend some money. Is this purchase worth it? Is my quality life going to improve? Whether I'm going to get more happiness, more time, or more of whatever is important to you. And that's really what's going to help you stick to like a budget long term, because you're not relying on discipline, you're relying on just habitual nature, which, if you don't know by now, we are habitual creatures and we do a lot of things throughout the day without consciously thinking about it. Our brains are processing a lot of information all at once, and it prioritizes the things that we do routinely to be automatic, so we don't have to think about it and we can be more aware of new things, which is what our brain does to help us conserve energy. If you're not aware of this, your brain takes about 25% of your daily energy needs. So it makes sense that it wants to automate stuff like brushing your teeth or swiping the credit card at the vending machine. The next thing you want to do is automate as much of this as you can. So I'll give you an example for myself. All of my bills that are set expenses every single month, well, I should say most of them are automatically paid. They go into an account and then they are paid, certain days of the month, and that's it. Easy, simple. The parts that aren't automated are, once I get paid, I have one account and then that account goes into separate accounts and I have to do that manually. I haven't set it up as an automatic process yet. And part of those automated expenses are like rent, gas, car payment if you have a car payment, health insurance, retirement savings, short-term savings, etc. Even little things like phone bills, Netflix accounts, whatever subscriptions that you may have. Now, as far as day-to-day purchases, I actually have a credit card that I use because I like to get the points, and I solely use that credit card for stuff like eating out. Essentially anything that's not a set expense goes through that credit card. I get the points and I pay it off every single month. But at any given moment, if I'm, relatively unsure of where my finances are are for the month, I could just check that account really quick on my phone and be like, see the balance, $500, $1,000, whatever it is, and then make a decision of like, okay, maybe I should slow down this month, and whatever purchase I'm thinking about, I could decide whether it's going to be worth it or not right now at this moment. And I also have built-in flexibility because part of this process for me, I decided that an emergency fund was really important, and I didn't want just like a bare bones emergency fund. I wanted a very cushiony emergency fund. So I have a few months emergency fund in a high yield savings account, and then I also have 1 month's emergency fund split into my checking accounts just in case there's something that pops up that needs to be taken care of, and I don't have to worry about overdraft fees or transferring money unless there's a big emergency that comes up, like I need new tires or my $3,000 dental surgery that I had last year. Which also helps me with the day-to-day purchases too, because I know, like, let's say I'm going to the upper limit of what my everyday expenses can go up to, my free money, my fun money, whatever you want to call it. I know that I have a very big cushion to where if I want to go over this month, I can, and I can make up for it the next month and, replenish my emergency funds. Or based off my spending habits, I know like I'm not going to break my bank just by splurging a little bit this month because of the cushion that I've built up. Eventually I know personally I will replenish that emergency fund, but I also have the freedom and flexibility to spend as I please. And this also helped me avoid stuff like lifestyle creep because I'm consciously always deciding whether I'm going to spend money on something and lock into like a long-term expense based off of my values and what's important to me. So that's my 3-step process. It's track like a madman, align your values with your goals, and then build up habits and automations that's going to help support your lifestyle, so that way you don't have to be like your own personal accountant tracking every single dollar for forever. So if you've been trying to budget but you don't really feel like you're getting ahead, just following those 3 steps can really help you out. So if you're ready to see exactly where you stand financially and you want a personalized game plan to move forward, then check the description below and book your free financial needs analysis. In this session, we'll go over your entire financial picture. We'll go over your income, debts, expenses, what protections you have in place, your retirement, and you'll walk away with a simple, customized strategy that's going to help you implement those habits, create those automations, and then give you clear next steps that you need for your financial foundations. So go ahead and click the link below to book your session and pick a time that works for you.